Guys, welcome back to another video. Today, we are going to be talking about testosterone, the complete TRT blasting and cruising guide. I know a lot of people, they either want to start taking it or they're currently on it right now and they're already having problems, Now, this is not about, full-blown cycles. I can make another video on that, but this is just about basic TRT and higher dosages of only just testosterone, right? Again, I'm somebody that likes to use less instead of a lot of other people that like to use more. Doesn't make me better, but just makes me somewhat more aware of specific side effects when you do take more. So if you are going to take more, this video is for you. Or if you're just trying to optimize your TRT and make sure you are completely healthy, this video is also for you. So let's get in. Okay. Now, a little bit about me, right? You guys probably already know me. You know that I started testosterone at 18 years old. I was 18 when I first got into testosterone. I knew what testosterone could do to my physique. I didn't understand really anything about it besides what it's actually doing to my body. But again, me understanding at the time was essentially testosterone equals more muscle, equals better recovery, equals better physique. That was it. Didn't really get any blood work done until 6 months in, which is bad. Do not do that. So again, knowing just that inject testosterone is not the same thing as actually understanding the pharmacology behind it and the actual biology behind it as well. So what I didn't know at 18, number one, hormonal pathways, aromatase and estradiol, DHT, and 5-alpha reductase, SHBG, free testosterone, HPTA suppression, health markers, right? Because I didn't get blood work done. I didn't know what I was doing, right? Hematocrit, APOB, HDL, blah, 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 lipids, right? Blood pressure, proper blood work, side effects, hair minimization, androgenic acne for fertility impact, and endocrine suppression. Now, a lot of you guys probably already know about this, but let's kind of break it down in a more scientific way. So testosterone isn't simply an anabolic drug. It's a starting point for multiple hormonal pathways. When you substantially change testosterone levels, you're potentially changing several systems as well simultaneously. Sorry, holy shit, I'm a little bit brain fog right now. But again, testosterone converts into DHT via 5-alpha reductase. That's the mechanism that it is converted into DHT. DHT can help with brain, your heart, your muscles, skin, hair. Mainly people know about the skin and hair. A lot of people don't know about that it actually helps with sexual function, fertility, and your blood. Again, over use of DHT can cause oily skin and hair loss. Everybody knows that. We'll get into that a little bit later. But also, testosterone, it's a free testosterone. This helps literally with everything that kind of just said with DHT as well. Estradiol, a little bit more. This is a primary, hormone that definitely can control kind of your mood. And definitely CNS as well. Sexual function is a huge one on this. You want to make sure no matter what that you are... that your estrogen is in a good place, because if you have a crash, it's not going to feel very good. You're going to feel very, very brain fog, super low sex drive. But if if it is over the top, right, you're going to feel very, very moody. Maybe your sex drive still works, or maybe you don't. Maybe it's not really, working that properly. But again, all of these, are very, very important. And it's not just, take testosterone, this and that. No, it's a lot more. Especially, I wish I knew this when I was fucking younger as well. Now, why am I making this, The goal is here's how to take steroids. The goal is to make sure that you guys actually understand this, right? So you're not actually just going blind about this, right? I'm not going to get too much into this slide because you already kind of know. But this part 2, understanding testosterone, that was kind of just an intro. Now we'll get more into what you guys probably want to really learn about. So natural, when you stop taking testosterone, your body self-regulates production through the HPTA axis continuously. So when you stop that, basically your HPT system is completely shut down because you're now getting exogenous testosterone. So physiological testosterone replacement for diagnosed hypogonadism under medical supervision, of course. Blast and cruise, super physiological androgen exposure followed by lower dose periods. That is what a blast and cruise is. Blast is when you were on a higher dosage, and a cruise is when you are on either your TRT or just, bodybuilder medical cruise dose, right? Now, your natural HPT axis. I'm gonna skip through this a little bit because no one really everyone kind of already knows, but you don't. That's why I still made this. So your body continuously adjusts testosterone production through a precise feedback loop. Understanding this is a foundational It's foundational to understanding what exogenous testosterone disrupts. Okay, your pituitary gland secretes LH and FSH in response to GnRH. Right, your testes produce testosterone and sperm under LH and FSH. Right, hypothalamus releases GnRH to start the cascade. Negative feedback testosterone to E2 suppresses upstream signals. So when you basically take exogenous testosterone, you're going to suppress your testes. Okay, you're not going to produce natural testosterone anymore because you're getting exogenous testosterone. That's telling your pituitary gland to not secrete LH and FSH. Okay, also telling your hypothalamus as well to not release GnRH to start the cascade. Okay, very, very easy to understand. Okay, so the elegant self-regulating system is what exogenous testosterone overrides with significant downstream consequences. Right. Now, what happens when you inject testosterone? Right, exogenous testosterone, GnRH decreases, LH and FSH decrease, intratesticular and T and sperm drop. Okay, so being on can suppress natural production even if you feel great. So again, feeling good does not necessarily mean you're functioning normally. But again, we'll get more into this because just because all these are decreased and suppressed doesn't mean that you're fucked, right? Or infertile. Okay, so and I'll actually, I'll touch on that a little bit as well. So and a little bit more into the video too, but. Again, this is just a price you're going to pay when you are either hypogonadism. Well, even when you're hypogonadism already, you're already prone to decreased GnRH, LH, and FSH. You're probably infertile. Okay, that's why people are like, oh, well, like when you take testosterone and you're already pre-hypogonadism, isn't that going to make you even more fertile? Yeah, definitely. But there's also specific things that you take that suppress LH and FSH, like HMG and HCG. They're basically synthetic LH and FSH drugs that basically will, I guess, in a way, fake it, right? Because it's not natural, right? But you're basically promoting the function of LH and FSH, obviously, to get healthy again, fertility wise, right? So you can obviously have a kid and have a better sex health and just health in general when it comes to hormones, right? When it comes to this level, okay, sex hormones. Now, total testosterone isn't the whole story, okay? How testosterone is bound, okay? Most circulating testosterone is bound to proteins, primarily SHBG. This is a very important thing, okay? And albumin, okay? Leaving only a small free fraction biologically available, okay? So the fractions, right? Bound to SHBG, tightly bound to albumin, loosely bound, free testosterone, small but active, okay? The free fraction is what matters most for biological activity, okay? So two men with identical total testosterone can have very different free testosterone concentrations depending on their SHBG levels. Okay, the lower your SHBG is, the more active hormones you kind of have available, meaning like more free testosterone you'll have, right? More estradiol and total testosterone too. The higher, not as much. Okay, so you kind of want it on the lower, healthier side, so you have more available hormones and you're able to control them, right? Now, SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin. Okay, higher SVG generally means a greater fraction of testosterone is tightly bound. Lower SVG can increase the free fraction, but lower isn't automatically better, depending on who you ask, to be honest. Metabolic factors, insulin sensitivity, and metabolic health directly influence SHBG levels. Okay, it really does. Thyroid and liver, thyroid status and liver function both modulate SHBG production. Genetics and hormones, age, androgens, estrogens, and genetics all play a huge role. So, whenever a lot of people are like, oh, like my SHBG is super, super high. How do I completely lower it, right? You got to look at metabolic factors, okay? Are they insulin sensitive? Or are they insulin resistant, right? Is their thyroid working properly? Is their T3 converting into T4 properly, okay? Genetics and hormones too, okay? Obviously, your age plays a huge role. You can take boron to lower it, right? You can take zinc to obviously help regulate it and lower it as well. Now, if you go into another realm of adding in another compound that specifically does lower it, like proviron, that's when it can get a little bit tricky. And again, the goal is not to crush your SHBG, it's to have a healthy SHBG. So you're getting the most out of your TRT and obviously optimizing your hormones. Now, holy fuck, I get too many questions about this when it comes to, what's it called? IM injections and subcutaneous injections. Okay, personally, I like IM a lot better just because it's deposited directly into the muscle tissue. Like it says, traditional route for testosterone administration. Sub-Q now is medically deposited into subcutaneous fat tissue. Both routes are used clinically in appropriate circumstances. I will say The subcutaneous injection administration is a lot slower absorption rate than IM. So again, it really just depends on how comfortable you are. Like if you're taking a small TRT dosage and you really don't want to pin your shoulders, right, or your glutes, you can do it sub-Q. It's not going to be a problem. But if you're on a blast, I would not recommend sub-Q at all. Okay. By the way, other compounds like Mastron, Primo, EQ, they don't go fucking sub-Q. I've had clients do that. I'm like, dude, you're what the fuck are you doing? No, testosterone only. Okay. Because again, other oils with specific compounds are a lot more thick, right? So that's just my opinion. I think IM is a lot better just because it literally deposited directly into the muscle tissue. Okay, so which is obviously where your androgen receptors mostly are. So you're getting more androgenic elevation and what's it called? Stimulation, right? So you get right into your system. Okay. Now, needle gauge and length. Okay, gauge basics, big number, thinner needle. Okay, so 18 gauge is like a drawing needle. If you wanted to do basically an 18 gauge needle, right, to draw it, and then you twist that off and you put on a 25 gauge, 27 gauge, or 29 gauge, or 31 gauge insulin syringe territory. Okay, drawing this oil through a very fine needle takes longer. Now, I personally do, and I draw with a 29 gauge, a pin with a 29 gauge, because I just use a 1/2 inch insulin needle. Okay, the oil that I use is very, very thin, depending on different oils. MTC oil. What is the other one? I'm literally drawing a blank right now. Grapeseed oil. That's it. And there's another one as well, but grapeseed I'm pretty sure is fairly thick. MTC is fairly thin. Length and body fat too. Body fat percentage alone does not determine the needle length, right? But it definitely will help because especially if you are a little bit chunkier, right? And you want to do pins with a insulin needle 1/2 inch, you might honestly have to go a little bit more deeper, maybe like a 5/8 inch needle, just because you have more body fat and it will take a little bit longer to really enter the muscle. Or you can do 1 inch, right? If you're already very lean like me, right? I got really lean arms already. That's just where my fat distribution lies. I just do IM right into my shoulder and my glutes. It's very, very easy. So yeah, hopefully you guys read this while I just talked, but moving on. Now, injection hygiene matters. Okay, I'm not going to go too much into this because again, it's like, okay, sterile protection, hand hygiene. Okay, obviously make sure it's a clean fucking area, right? Never share equipment. Okay, recognize infection as well. If you get infected, I've gotten infected before. It will start to turn very red and very, very warm. You also might feel your arm just swollen up as well. I've gotten fake gear. Fake gear will do that to you. So obviously you want to make sure if you are blasting whatever source you're getting it from, make sure it is somewhat quality. And if you're just from your TRT clinic, you should be fine because obviously it's 100% pure. But yeah, literally whole process, you grab it, you draw it, 18 gauge, or you're just drawing with a needle that you're going to inject, or sorry, drawing needle, right? Draw it, take it off, twist it in, put on the injection needle, right? Swab, alcohol swab your shoulder or whatever injections that you're doing, inject, take it off, swab it again. You're fucking good. Not too hard, right? Now, why injection frequency changes the curve. This is a big thing, okay? So larger infrequent injections, large infrequent injection, okay, produces significant peaks and troughs, okay? High superphysiological levels followed by low valleys, okay? Larger fluctuations in hormone levels throughout the week, okay? Now, your TRT doctor might be like, hey, let's just do 1 time a week because we're using test C because it's a very long ester. Fuck that, okay? Because literally what I just said, you're going to get a peak of your weekly dose and then troughs as well, causing you to go like this, okay? Now, divided dosaging. Smaller, more frequent injections produce smaller fluctuations and more stable serum levels throughout the dosing period, okay? Daily pins or 5 pins a week, right? Stable, okay? Now, some people don't like to do daily pins, which man the fuck up. I'm sorry. Stop being a fucking vagina, right? Man the fuck up and do daily pins. It's going to be a lot better for you. But if you're still entering the, I guess, enhanced world and TRT world, you can use, I guess, 5 pins or like 4 every other day. That's completely fine. Okay. Now, testosterone doesn't stay testosterone. Okay, 2 critical enzymatic pathways explain a huge amount of what happens downstream when testosterone levels change. Okay. These aren't side effects. They're fundamental just biochemistry. Okay, testosterone into estradiol, testosterone into DHT. Okay, I kind of already talked about this as well. And we'll kind of dive deep a little bit more. But a lot of people think that estrogen is an enemy, okay, which it's not. Okay, estradiol plays essential physiological roles in men. The goal isn't E2 equals zero. You will feel like shit. The goal is an appropriate physiological range. Okay, you want, obviously, depending on the labs you go through, you want your estradiol to be between like a 29 to like a 35 or like a 40. Again, depending on where the lab really ranges. Okay, helps with bone health. Estradiol is critical for maintaining bone material density in men. Okay, if you crash your E2, your joints will feel like shit because you're not getting a sufficient enough of E2 to help maintain bone material density. Okay, cardiovascular and CNS contributes to vascular. Oh my gosh, vascular physiology and central nervous system function. Okay, aka right, your mood. Okay, your mood is a huge thing, especially if you are a man. If you have too high of estrogen and you can't control it, you're turning into a woman. If you have too low and you feel numb and you're like, I'm fucking Batman, you got too low of E2. You're not really a person. You're just kind of like a robot, right? Now, body composition and sexual function, the higher your body fat is, the more aromatase, which is the enzyme that converts into estradiol, you have, okay? That is why when you start TRT, or if you're already on TRT and you start to see a little bit of gyno, right, when you're on it, okay, that means you want to make sure you can lower the aromatase enzyme as much as possible in a healthy manner, aka caloric deficit, doing your cardio, shaving off body fat, okay? Especially if you're going to start, make sure you're at like 15% body fat or maybe a little bit higher, depending on your specific goals, okay? Now, geez, a lot of talking. High versus low E2 symptoms overlap. Okay, high E2 may be associated with breast tenderness, okay, gynecomastia, fluid retention in some circumstances, a lot of the time, like just mood. You feel like a fucking bitch. Excessively low E2 may contribute to sexual dysfunction, ED, okay, joint discomfort, poor mood, bone health problems. Okay, so symptoms don't necessarily mean diagnosis. Confirm what's happening with blood work rather than making like a blind I guess guess, because dude, trust me, coming from somebody that had super high E2 at the time, right? I would just pop AIs like crazy, and then it would crash my E2. Then I would up my testos so I can get more aromatase enzyme converting into estradiol, so I feel better. And it was just a shit show. Okay, get fucking blood work done. There's Rhythm. I know I don't necessarily. I'm sponsored by Rhythm, but I'm not biased. I think it's great for just quickly checking markers. When it comes to like a full panel, it's not really the best. They're probably adding more, but yeah, quickly get blood work done. It's not that expensive. And if you don't have any money, you shouldn't even be watching this video because this shit ain't cheap. Okay? It's somewhat, depending on what you specifically do. Now, Aromacin versus Arimidex. Now, I will die on the hill saying that Aromacin is better just because it doesn't affect your lipids like Arimidex. A lot of people as well will say that they feel worse off of Arimidex just because it can, like, I don't know, it's just like so potent in a way. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt fucking worse off of Arimidex. Okay, just because I really don't know why. A lot of people say Arimidex is like worse for them compared to Aromacin, but again, non-steroid aromatase inhibitor reversibly binds and inhibits aromatase enzyme activity. Okay, Aromacin, steroid irreversible aromatase inhibitor permanently inactivates the enzyme it binds. Okay, neither is universally better. Aromacin is better. Both can drive estradiol dangerously low, excessive AI use, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you already know. Okay, if you fucking overdo it, you can fuck it up. Aromacin doesn't affect lipids at all. Arimidex does, so that's why I would rather people take Aromacin compared to Arimidex if you have to use an AI, unless you're using a secondary compound like Primo or EQ. Okay, but moving on. So DHT. DHT is something that people don't necessarily understand either. Okay, they think that, oh, okay, DHT is just your hair. Okay, no, it's a lot more. Dihydrotestosterone, DHT, is produced when testosterone is converted from the 5-alpha reductase. DHT has substantial greater androgen receptor potency than testosterone in several tissues, prostate, skin, and sebum. Okay, scalp follicles as well. Right now, 5-alpha reductase and its inhibitors. Okay, so you have two isoenzymes, right? Type 1 expressly primarily in skin and liver. Type 2 expressed primarily in prostate, hair follicles, and genital tissues. Okay, different tissues express different amounts of each isoenzyme, which is why inhibitors have tissue-specific effects. So finasteride versus dutasteride. So let's just say you're getting a crazy amount of acne, you're getting some hair loss, your prostate's fucking shit, right? Finasteride primarily inhibits type 2 5A reductase used for androgenic alopecia and um, BPH. Okay. Now, dutasteride inhibits both, meaning it's a lot stronger. Okay, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Okay, so more extensive systemic DHT suppression. So again, more suppression isn't automatically better. Hair benefit must be weighed against systemic adverse effect risk, including sexual side effects. Right. So if you're somebody, I know a lot of people get post finasteride. What's it called? Post finasteride syndrome, where they feel fucking shit, they crash their DHT, right? They feel super foggy, their dick doesn't work. There honestly isn't necessarily a what's it called? A protocol to help. Yes, you can bump up your tests to create more DHT. Okay, that could possibly help, right? But using a DHT derivative like Proviron, Winstrol, Anavar, all of those, Primo Mass, those are not straight DHT. Those are molecularly structured in a different way. So it's not going to boost your DHT at all. Okay. That is why I always recommend it's like start slow when it comes to deploying these specific drugs, right? Obviously, if you're getting acne and hair loss, I would recommend dutasteride because it inhibits both isoenzymes. But at the same time, I would start at like the lowest possible dosage because, trust me, post finasteride is not good, and people feel like actual shit, and it's what's it called? It's not something that you want to be doing or feeling, right? It's a terrible feeling. Now, why testosterone accelerates hair loss? Okay, so genetics are very, very, very important here because a lot of people are like, oh, well, like you took this specific thing and it worked for you, but I don't have to take it at all. I'm like, well, that's just genetics, right? So if you're genetically susceptible, okay, increased androgen exposure accelerates a predictable biological process in DHT sensitive follicles. Okay, I know a lot of people, depending on their specific hair and genetics, they won't get fucking hair loss. Their grandparents, right, have a full, thick head of hair. So testosterone doesn't cause hair loss in everyone. It accelerates the loss in those who are genetically predisposed. Know your family history before starting. Okay, that is why it's like, oh shit, well, my grandpa and dad are bald, right? Might have to use some finasteride or dutasteride if I want to really hop on TRT. It's a choice that you have to make, but it's very easy. It's very easy to kind of work it into the protocol. If that makes sense. Now, why testosterone can cause acne, right? Mechanism: androgens increase sebaceous gland activity, driving excess sebum production. Okay, combined with follicular plugging and inflammation, this creates conditions for acne. Common locations: I got it on my back and chest when I first started. Then it went over to my face. Now, what you can use: prescription treatment ladder. Now, this is not medical advice at all, but I have been experimenting with tretinoin. These are topical retinoids along with adapalene. I probably said that wrong, but I've been using tretinoin 0.1 every other day, and it's been absolutely helping. Now, if you guys get a purge, that means you're either using too much or you're just upsetting your acne a lot. Maybe you're using like a face wash with a lot of benzoyl peroxide, right, already, and then you use tretinoin. That's just going to make it cause a lot more harm than good. You want to make sure that you're using just enough where you're not irritating it, but you're also causing it to lower, if that makes sense. So severe refractory, what's it called? Wow, I just kind of went fucking blank here. But anyways, tretinoin, adapalene, right? Antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, benzoyl peroxide, like I said, topical antibiotics, paired obviously appropriately. Severe refractory disease, may require systemic treatment supervised by obviously a dermatologist. Isotretinoin isn't a casual skincare supplement. A lot of these are not just like casual. I was able to honestly get away with like synthetic acid, which helps control sebum levels as well. But now that I'm really trying to reverse my aging process, I'm using a lot of these topical retinoids and obviously investing more money and time into a skin care routine, which you can, especially if you're trying to start testosterone and make sure you don't get any side effects. But yeah, sir. Now, testosterone and insulin sensitivity. In hypogonic men, restoring physiological testosterone can improve body composition and, in some populations, improve metabolic parameters through increased lean mass, decrease visceral adipose fat is what I'm trying to say, and improve glucose disposal capacity as well. So again, this is true, but at the same time, it's like you're not just going to take testosterone; your body composition is going to improve. You got to make sure that you're obviously dieting correctly. You're obviously using specific things like carbs, right, in a timely manner. Obviously, protein as well, and just losing body fat, and then the testosterone will amplify that. AKA, it's an amplifier. So again, more testosterone doesn't mean necessarily better insulin sensitivity. Super physiological steroid use is completely different than physiological scenario. Compound selection, body composition, diet, and other drugs all change the outcome. Literally what I just said. Now, why body composition matters? Okay, skeletal muscle is a major site of insulin-stimulated glucose uptake. So more muscle provides a larger glucose disposal compartment, which is one reason why resistant training improves metabolic health and independent of testosterone. Okay, sleep and recovery. You want to make sure you are getting proper sleep and recovery, waking up and going to bed at a decent time. Activity level. Are you working out? Or are you just taking testosterone so you can feel better? Why the fuck would you not work out? Okay, genetics and diet as well. Literally, kind of what I just mentioned in the last story as well. Okay, guys, give me a break. Go and try the one raw dog this. So if I slip up on words, fuck you. Oh, little break here. Okay, back into it. Now, part 8, blood work and health. Okay, CBC, hematocrit, and hemoglobin. Okay, the mechanism, testosterone can stimulate EPO. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word. Erythropoiesis, whatever. EPO. That's basically the process of red blood cell increasing. Right. Potential result: RBC increases, hemoglobin increases, hematocrit increases, which can cause blood clotting, okay, super high blood pressure, strokes, everything along the lines of that if you don't control it, which is very easy to control. So that's one key reason why CBC monitoring matters in testosterone. So other contributing factors as well. A lot of people, when they have high RBC, is they're super dehydrated, they smoke, altitude. I don't know why that's on there, to be honest. Sleep apnea as well, though. So don't automatically assume that, oh, okay, well, elevated hematocrit has one cause. No, okay? Investigate before treating, right? Now, you want to make sure you're very hydrated. You can take specific things like nattokinase to help. If you need to take baby aspirin to thin out your blood, you can. Baby aspirin has a lot of solid benefits as well, but that's like worst case scenario as well, and you got to consult with your coach or doctor. Okay. Now, just don't just donate blood forever. This is a common misconception. So, repeated just donating, dumping blood, it's just a band-aid, bro. It's literally a temporary band-aid. Okay. So repeated without addressing the cause can contribute to depleted ferritin and iron stores over time. Okay. Testosterone exposure. Okay. Is the dose actually driving EPO? Okay. No, maybe, or yes, right? Dose adjustment may be appropriate. Sleep apnea. Okay, undiagnosed sleep apnea is a common and treatable driver of elevated hematocrit, right? Is your sleep fucking shit? Okay, do you have the condition of sleep apnea? Okay, lifestyle factors as well, smoking, hydration status, and other causes should be evaluated. Management must be individualized medically. Okay, literally what I just said as well. Now, lipids and ApoB. LDL, okay, it's the bad cholesterol, okay, HDL, good cholesterol, ApoB, particle count. This is the main one that is most important, okay. So some androgen remains, particularly supraphysiological exposure in certain non-testosterone AAS, can substantially worse lipid profiles. ApoB should be part of your panel no matter what, okay. Pretty sure once you start taking testosterone, it causes the HDL to break down a lot faster, causing it to lower your HDL. You want your HDL somewhat high, okay, which means you could. Okay, now blood pressure. Do not ignore it, motherfuckers. Okay, 135 over 90 is not good. Okay, it's just above the average. So don't obsess over testosterone levels while ignoring your blood pressure. It's one of the simplest and most important cardiovascular metrics you can monitor and can fucking kill you very fast. Okay, lifestyle factors, medical factors. Again, everything along the lines of this. Now we'll get into more so of. Well, hold on. Specific things that you can use, okay, to obviously lower your blood pressure. Number one, okay, walking. Okay, I was on a bulk at the time when I was using specific more androgen loads, and I was just sitting around. I wasn't walking. Okay, cardio is absolutely key. Now, electrolytes as well, hydration. Okay, now if none of those are working, you're just getting high blood pressure, maybe you need to lower your dosage. Most of the time, once you do lower your dosage and you're on a TRT and you're completely healthy, you shouldn't have high blood pressure unless you're genetically prone. You can use Cialis. Okay, it's a vasodilator. Cialis pre-workout. Okay, or in the morning, that helps. Okay, telmisartan, it's ARB. Okay, helps. Basically, it can increase sodium levels as well, which you got to potassium levels. So you got to make sure you watch out. Maybe you don't eat too much potassium in your diet. But telmisartan, 10 up to 40 milligrams a day can obviously help depending on how severe it is. And when it comes to Cialis, 5 to 10 mgs as well. Okay. Now, heart health. Okay, looking healthy does not necessarily mean you're being healthy. Okay. Again, chronic supraphysiological AS exposure has been associated with adverse cardiovascular remodeling disease. Okay, the physique can look amazing, but your internals could be the inside of your body could be fucking dying. Okay, so structural changes, LH hypertrophy, and adverse cardio remodeling from chronic high dose exposure, vascular risk, a ton of just specific other concerns as well, hypertension as well when it comes to higher blood pressure. So looking healthy isn't the same as being cardiovascular healthy. Okay. Now, liver and kidneys, labs, context matters. Okay. AST and ALT, this is obviously important because it'll show if your liver is a little bit strained. But again, this can be elevated by like hard training. So make sure you don't train the day before, day of giving your blood work. Creatinine runs higher with more muscle mass. Creatine supplementation and training, it's not necessarily going to reflect your true kidney function. Additional context, these will, okay? GGT will 100% show the process on how your liver is working if it is fairly functional. Creatinine C as well when it comes to your kidneys. Urinalysis and urine albumin creatine ratio, ratio provide more complete organ assessment. So don't just get your AST or CMP regular panel. Just because your creatinine and BUN are slightly elevated doesn't mean your kidneys are fucked, or your AST and ALT, if they're elevated, doesn't mean that your liver is fucked. There's more to the story. Okay. Now, testosterone can reduce sperm production. Kind of already talked about this. Exogenous T basically causes intratesticular fall. Okay. LH and FSH drop, spermatogenesis drops. Right. Now, we'll probably get into what we can use. Right. HCG is not testosterone, okay? What HCG does is basically primarily through the LH receptor, stimulates this receptor. So what it does, it can help maintain intratesticular testosterone in certain clinical fertility and testicular function strategies. Basically saying your balls won't shrink if you're taking HCG. You can most likely stay a little bit of fertile, especially if you're trying to have a kid on TRT. But just because that you took exogenous testosterone and you lowered your sperm count doesn't mean that you're fucked and you're infertile. It can for some people, but it's very, very fucking rare. Okay, what it doesn't do, fertility management isn't simply take testosterone plus randomly add HCG. It's not. It's reproductive urologist or endocrinologist should guide treatment using semen analysis and appropriate hormone monitoring as well to make sure that you are on the right track for actually having a kid. So get your sperm fucking checked or frozen. Okay, the support stack, what actually matters, right? Sleep, resistance training, do not smoke. Okay, if you do, stop hitting the hookah. I don't know who that was, but yeah, cardio, fiber-rich diet, BP control. Okay, again, supplements. You can take all the fucking supplements in the world, but if you're not doing half of these, you're going to receive a kick in the ass by Father Health. Okay, now what I would want monitored. Okay. Obviously, your hormones, men's hormonal panel, okay? Your actual blood, CBC, okay? Metabolic as well. Want to see if you're insulin sensitive, okay? Your lipids, your EPOB, okay? Organs, CMP, AST, ALT, right? Creatinine, EGFR, I forgot. EGFR is another one that also does indicate whether or not your kidneys are properly functioning. Your blood pressure, okay? PSA when indicated, fertility testing if relevant, right? All these need to be monitored throughout the course of you using TRT. So it's kind of like a commitment, but you feel fucking great and you look fucking great. Now, blasting changes the risk equation. Okay, so everything that I just said, if you're doing completely right, and then you start to up your dose, everything fucking changes, okay? TRT is just basically to restore, decent testosterone levels. I think 1,000 to 1,500 is solid. Okay. Now you're going on a blast. Now you're at 2K to like 5K. I've seen 5K before. I've seen 10K before, which is crazy. Okay. Which means BP and hematocrit goes up, right? Cardio workload, remodeling, acne and hair loss, fertility is fucked, right? Not fucked, but like it's decreased even more. Or lipid profile, greater endocrine suppression. Okay, so there isn't necessarily a supplement sec that turns a blast into TRT. There can be, but it's a little bit more pricey. Obviously, when it comes to maybe your lipids are fucked, maybe your ApoB is super, super high, maybe your lipids are fucked as well. You can use ezetimibe, okay, or rovastatin as well. That basically helps lower your LDL, okay. Now it's your HDL is completely fucked. Maybe you want to add more fats in your diets or specifically lower your dosage, okay. There's a lot that goes into it, right? You can use baby aspirin to thin out your blood. You can use nattokinase as well to help break down the fiber, which can lead to thinning your blood. Also helping with cardiovascular health as well. You can use telmisartan to lower your blood pressure. Okay, you can use finasteride or dutasteride to help with acne and hair loss. Right, you can use HCG and HMG when you're on a blast for fertility. There's a lot that you can do, but it's just more so of a process. Now, did testosterone make me successful? I will say testosterone didn't build the business for me, but because I had everything that I previously mentioned locked in, it helped a lot, okay? Because, well, when you are a man with high testosterone, right, and you have already solid discipline, you know exactly what you want in this life, okay, you are going to build a fucking solid-ass life. That is what I preach in my content. A lot of you guys will just take testosterone and be like, well, I want a Lamborghini, right? And you're like, well, the testosterone is going to help me get the Lamborghini. It could, for sure. But if you don't do the actionable steps that it takes to obviously work naturally to get that Lamborghini, testosterone is just going to cause you to get bigger. That's it, right? What I'm trying to say is let testosterone seep into other aspects of your life as long as you are disciplined in those aspects of your life. Now, what I wish someone told me at 18, okay? Get blood work before touching absolutely anything. Understand fertility, okay? Learn estradiol before touching an AI. That's a big one. Learn DHT before blindly suppressing it. Protect your cardiovascular health at all times, right? We're approaching the end here. Now, more lessons I wish I had, okay? Don't treat any side effect with another drug. Just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to throw another drug in, okay? TRT and blasting are interchangeable terms, okay? One is replacement therapy. The one is initially created superphysiological exposure, okay? They're not the same. More isn't automatically better, okay? Just because you want to blast more doesn't mean it's going to make your life better. I know a lot of people, because of the increased risks when you do go on a blast, they're like, I feel worse because, well, I feel my insides are not as obviously optimized, and I have to take all these ancillaries, and it's just not worth it to me. I'm just going to go back to TRT, aka me, okay? Don't let testosterone become your identity, okay? Everything surrounding your life that makes you should be your identity. Testosterone just amplifies that, if that makes sense. Last but not least, guys, education before inflammation, okay? That's all I got to say. Education before inflammation. Guys, I hope this completely helped you and answered a lot of your questions. If you guys still have any questions on testosterone or even starting it, DM me on Instagram. If you guys are looking for a one-on-one cycle or just regular fitness coach as well, I would love to absolutely help you and help you achieve your specific enhancement or even natural goals as well. I do prep coaching. I do cycle design, everything along the lines of that. Like, follow, and let's stay dialed.